These two laptops may look different from the outside, but they're actually very similar. The Vector 16 and the Strix G16 are both thick, fast gaming laptops. But which one is faster? Let's find out. And please like and subscribe if you like these type of videos. From the outside, these are both not trying to hide that they're gaming laptops at all. Maybe the Strix a little bit more though, since it has a big ass RGB strip on its front. They've got big air vents, big branding, and everything is just big. They do both have metal top lids, which makes them feel quite sturdy. And while the rest is all plastic, they both feel like they're built very well, with no weird flexing or creaking plastic anywhere. Now they're both about as thick, but the Vector does have an overall larger footprint, because its ass is a little longer. And the Vector is definitely heavier, which you really do notice if you pick them both up. Neither one is really one-handable. But like I said, these two are very similar from the inside, with them both having the fastest laptop processors from Intel and AMD, as well as an RTX 5070 Ti. And both of these 5070 Ti's have their full TGP available, which means they shouldn't be limited by anything. So the main difference between these two should be their processors. It'll be interesting to see how Intel compares to AMD. The Vector 16 definitely wins in terms of its port selection though. With it having an additional SD card slot, as well as two Thunderbolt 5 ports, it has basically everything you could ever need. The Vector's charging brick is a bit larger and heavier though, because it's actually a higher wattage than on the Strix. But they also support USB-C charging, so smaller bricks are a possibility on both of them. Now let's look at their keyboards. They both actually have a full per-key RGB backlight, so they each have some really cool looking custom effects which you can make. But in my opinion, the lighting looks a little bit better on the Strix. The Vector has these translucent keys, which I do think looks cool, but a bit tacky. Now here's what their keys feel and sound like. The Strix has slightly longer key travel and gives, in my opinion, way more satisfying feedback. The Vector's keys feel a bit plasticky in comparison. However, the Vector has a full-size numpad on the side, which many people will want. While the Strix tries to do this another way, for which we need to move down to their trackpads. They're both about the same size, so pretty big, and while they're both made of glass, the Strix's one feels a bit sturdier. But for the clicks themselves, I think the Vector actually feels a lot better. It's a bit more clicky and requires less force to press down. But like I said, the Strix kind of has a numpad as well, but inside of its trackpad. With a press of this side button, it turns into a touch-based numpad, which could be handy. Yes, physical keys do feel a lot better than a touch-based one, but it's pretty cool to have, and you can always just turn it off and never use it if you want to. Moving up, we have their displays, and these two 2.5K 240Hz IPS panels are basically identical. They've both got beautiful, vibrant colors with good contrast. And playing games on them at 240Hz just feels awesome. It's noticeably smoother than, say, a 144Hz screen. They even have the same backlight, which means they both have very good looking blacks, even in darker rooms. They also both have matte display coatings, so reflections aren't very visible, but you do have some glare on both of them. But the Strix definitely has a better matte coating. And it just has less glare overall, so I think they're using something slightly different. Both of their hinges also open up about as far, which means not far at all really. But these hinges are both very sturdy, with basically no wobble, so opening them up with one hand is very easy. Now speakers aren't really a selling point on modern gaming laptops. I mean, most manufacturers just cheap out on them. But Asus has changed this standard over the years, so which one of these two sounds better? Well, to my surprise, the Vector sounds a lot better than the Strix. Even though the Strix has both down-firing speakers on its bottom and forward-firing speakers on the top, while the Vector only has down-firing speakers, the Strix just doesn't sound very high fidelity. The Vector does sound a bit muffled, but it has higher quality bass and just more clarity overall. And especially while playing games, that is a huge advantage. They both have about the same quality webcams, but the Strix does a way better job at color correcting. It also sounds like they have the exact same microphone, which sounds quite good. But let's get to the part that everyone cares about: performance. These two laptops have very similar specs, but with the fastest AMD processor and the fastest Intel processor. So which one of them is faster? Well, in Cinebench R23, for the first time this year, the Ultra 9275HX beat the 9955HX3D in both single and multi-core performance. Not by a whole lot, but it's definitely faster. And in 3D Mark TimeSpy, we see the same for its GPU. The Vector's 5070 Ti is just ever so slightly faster. So in benchmarks, the Vector does pull ahead. But benchmarks aren't everything, and it doesn't show real-world performance, where there's usually a mixed CPU and GPU workload. And these are gaming laptops after all, so let's see how they compare in some actual games.
What did you do, man? No!
So as you saw, benchmarks do not tell the entire story. In almost every game, the Strix got higher frame rates than the Vector by at least 10%, which is quite a big difference for two laptops with the same graphics cards. The Vector was faster in Oblivion, but we have seen weirder results from this game. But why is the performance difference that noticeable? Is it really just because the AMD chip is that much faster? Well, yes, but partly because it's just more power efficient. The Vector's Intel processor uses 80 to 95 watts while playing Cyberpunk, while the Strix's AMD processor is only using up to 60 watts of power, which is a lot less. And since the Strix is using less power for that CPU, it can give more power to its GPU. So while the Vector's GPU can reach high wattages, it runs around 110 to 115 watts most of the time, while the Strix's GPU runs at 130 to 140 watts at almost all times, which is basically its power limit. So more power for its GPU paired with a way bigger cache for that processor means the Strix G16 is just downright faster. But what does that mean for their temperatures? Does the Strix also run a lot hotter and louder? Well, no actually. The Strix's AMD processor stays more than 10 degrees cooler than the Intel one in the Vector, which is a huge difference. And while their GPUs stay at around the same temperatures, it's pretty clear which one is cooled better. So the Strix's better cooling system, paired with the fact that its AMD processor is not using that much power, means it runs a lot cooler. And what does that mean for fan noise? It means the Vector is way louder. And I mean a lot louder, to the point that you can't even hear the game's audio over its fan noise. And while doing light tasks, or even just while sitting here doing nothing, the Vector's fans are always on, while the Strix just stays silent. You can set custom fan curves on both of them though, so this is not a massive issue. Now, we all know they're not going to get amazing battery life, but which one of them lasts longer? Well, I tested their batteries in two different scenarios, under light use and during gaming. In the light use test, I played a YouTube video until both of their batteries died, with their displays at 80% brightness, at 60 Hz, and with their dedicated GPU turned off. And the Vector did last longer, but I don't think either one of these is going to last a full school day, so make sure to bring your charger with you. In the gaming test, I played Battlefield 1 until their batteries died, with the same settings as before. And like always, neither one of them lasted even an hour. Don't buy a gaming laptop expecting to get an on-the-go gaming experience. Get a gaming handheld instead. Now, both of these are big, thick gaming laptops. So do they have a lot of space for modular components? Well, luckily, yes, they both do. They both have fully upgradable RAM with 2 SODIMM slots, which is awesome if you can find RAM for a normal price right now. They both also have 2 M.2 SSD slots, so storage upgrades are very easy. And they also have Wi-Fi card slots, which could be handy in the future. But arguably the most important part about any laptop is their pricing. So which one of these is more expensive? Well, with these exact specs from this video, the Vector 16 is around $1,800 to $1,900. But the Strix G16 is a lot more expensive, at almost $2,500. But there is also a Strix model with a non-X3D chip, which is only $2,200. And that is less, but still more than the Vector 16. Now that non-X3D chip is about as fast as the Ultra 9275HX in the Vector 16, but it will be cooled better. In Europe, this pricing difference is even bigger, and this is just for the non-X3D chip model. The X3D one isn't even available in most parts of the world. I'll put an Amazon link for all of these models in the description down below for if you're interested. Okay, it's time for a conclusion. Which one of these is more worth it? The Strix G16 or the Vector 16? Well, while the Strix is in my opinion the better laptop, the Vector is way more worth it. The Vector has the better speakers, but the Strix has a way better cooling system. And paired with that Ryzen 9 X3D chip, it is simply faster, by quite a large margin. But 15% more performance is not really worth a 30% higher price. The non-X3D Strix G16 is worth it in my opinion, being only 15% more expensive than the Vector 16, but it will be slightly slower than this G16. So my advice is this: if you're on a tighter budget, just get the Vector 16, because it's obviously the cheaper laptop. But if you've got a bit more money to spend, I would get the non-X3D version of the Strix G16, because it is exactly 15% more expensive, but 10% faster with a better cooling system. But if you don't really care about money and just want the fastest of the fastest laptop, get the X3D Strix G16, because there is no faster laptop processor for gaming. And that's pretty much it. Now let me give a huge shout out to my YouTube members. Soundwife, Thomas, Inky, Mr. Frostydude, Dropzone1, Martijn Snijkers, Flimsy, Aki, Disco Volante, Mr. Nuke, Sebastian, Christian Sands, Real Elf, Eric the Red, Wesley Rhodes, Michael, Ghost Data, Anugadar, Abdullah, and Lewis. If you become a YouTube member, you get early access to content of mine, a shout out at the end of every video, and you'll also be supporting me as a creator to make these videos. And of course, you'll also be part of the Cool Guys Club, so you can use cool emojis like these in the comment section. So join the club if you're interested. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.
Special, you get a half price. Can I help you?
No! This is a nice restaurant! This is supposed to be a nice restaurant! What are you doing?